Thank you, everybody, for joining. I think there's going to be some people probably jumping on in the next few minutes, but we'll go ahead and get it kicked off. So that way we can get you guys back to your day. I'm Brandon Herr with IP Security Reps. As you guys know, thank you for taking the time. What we're doing today is we're with Savance Workplace, and we're going to focus an hour on our visitor management solution. With that, I want to take a moment and just kind of take you back. We've been with Savance now for a couple of years and couldn't be more excited about the technology that they have to offer. Our customers started coming to us with questions. Hey, do you have a solution for visitor management, mustering? And we really didn't at the time. And Savance is who we found. And we couldn't be happier with the technology that they have and the solutions and the problem solving that they're doing for our customers. We want to share that with you. And that's why we brought Steve from Savance in to give that presentation today. I did want to take a moment before I kick it over to Steve and share with you, we are having a webinar next week. It will be Thursday, same time, 12 p.m. Eastern, and we will be focusing on our emergency mustering solution. So give me just a moment. I'll share a QR code. And if you have a moment, snap a picture with your phone. And that QR code will take you right to the registration page on Eventbrite. And you can go ahead and add that event to your calendar. So if you have some time next week, go ahead, scan that, register, and it'll get you started. So I'll go ahead and introduce Steve. Steve Bardocz is with Savance. He is the founder and CEO of Savance, based in Michigan, which is awesome. They're kind of right in our central territory. A lot of really, really good stories, really close to home for us. So with that, Steve, I will kick it over to you. I will stop sharing my screen and let you introduce yourself and start talking about the visitor management solution.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Brandon. Yeah, so just like Brandon said, have had really good experiences with Brandon's team and all of the different integrations that we've been able to work together on, different integrators and such. And I appreciate everybody taking the time today. My plan is to kind of keep it relatively high level on just helping you guys identify opportunities, really understanding use cases, get to know us a little bit, get to know what different systems we work with, and mostly know that we're in it together. You know, our goal is to basically help you understand at the highest level on how to identify different opportunities at your existing accounts or open up the door to some new accounts. And then at the same time, know that we're kind of a white glove, high service level organization where as soon as you identify even remotely some opportunity, knowing that we're going to be there to help you navigate that, so you don't have to be a certified expert to come in and sell this solution, that we're here to support you and guide the customer through selecting different aspects and really architecting a good visitor experience. So with that, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to start with my entire screen, and then I may share a little video partway through as well. Maybe Brandon, just confirm that you can see my screen okay for me.
Good, I can, yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's perfect.
Perfect. So like I said, I'll start out kind of high level, a little bit about us in case you haven't heard of Savance yet. We really have been in business for quite a while. We've been 25 years was our anniversary a couple years ago. So we're just about at 27 now. We are in the Midwest. We have an office in Michigan. That's our headquarters, but we do have people kind of spotted all over the globe, really, concentrated mostly in North America. We do have the opportunity to have been with a lot of different big box names. As you can see, some of the logos that we've worked with over the years. So we're used to any size organization from small to large enterprise. Kind of our sweet spot is all built around safety, security, and accountability. And those solutions that we do best are electronic and outboard, visitor management, and mustering. And just like we kind of have here and we show, these solutions can all work independently, or they can kind of come together as a suite of solutions. We're going to focus today on visitor management, and I'll probably just lightly touch on some of the others. And then next week, we'll really deep dive into mustering and show how those two come together. Okay. As far as other solutions that we also have a digital in outboard that essentially gives you insight to where people are, who's in an office, maybe like an occupancy display board. So before you set an alarm, maybe it's just for accountability, having kind of a virtual in outboard that you can pull up on different interfaces, maybe a kiosk for people to check in and out, maybe just a way to use the badges to know who's in. But essentially one option is we can give you a digital and outboard. Another thing that we can do and help with is mass notifications, because we have that accountability system that can drive a notification engine, text, email, pop-ups, different things like that. That same engine can also drive some time and attendance, maybe for secondary accountability for HR, maybe to validate overtime grievances, maybe to literally drive payroll and spit it out to ADP or Paychex or different things like that. And then our status boards are basically large screen monitors that show digital displays of different data, usually like in an outboard, sometimes a mustering board, sometimes different unique solutions, but basically like digital display boards. Okay. Now I'm going to drive into the visitor management piece and really talk on that in great detail. Our visitor management is built basically on different types of methods to check in. And so our most common method to check in nowadays is built around a self-service kiosk. So this gives a good example of what a kiosk experience might look like. What's unique about our experience is that these are always going to be customized to the customer's brand. So, you know, you take a look at like one of these kiosks and you're going to, instead of looking at something that's branded like our brand, you're going to get a brand that's going to look more like the customer brand. So here's a good example of just some of the various types of kiosks that we've done, where we're going to take the customer's brand. If they're getting one of these freestanding kiosks, we're going to decal it with their decal, and our organization helps them build that out as part of the deployment process. And we've really got it streamlined to where it's a very fast and efficient process. So that's one of the methods that we can use to check people in. We also support wall mounts, desktop stands, as well as a simple tablet, you know, just like having a little iPad at the front. So depending upon the customer's needs, we can look at that and understand, you know, hey, is this a back entrance? How do we want to handle this? Is this a front entrance that gets a lot of traffic? Is the organization, you know, very brand centric, and having a nice welcome kiosk might make sense? Do they have a vestibule? So those sorts of choices will help decide how are we going to manage their visitor traffic. We also support a QR code, where you just print a QR code on a piece of paper and laminate it, or have it put onto a plaque like you see here. And then the people's phones become their check-in experience. We also support a hybrid or a dual method, where you can have the QR code on the kiosk and allow them to scan the QR code with their phone as well, or have a kiosk while still having multiple QR codes, either at different locations or even in the vicinity. So if the kiosk is busy, you still can use a mobile device as a check-in method. We also support what we call attended stations, which are essentially kind of the traditional, hey, I want to walk up to a security guard or a receptionist and they're going to check me in. So that is still a valid option. It's kind of like when you go up to the checkout lane and you're grocery shopping, you can either, go to the checkout lanes where you kind of check out yourself, or you can walk up and go to the traditional cash register that's going to check you out that way as well. Very similar method, and we can do hybrids. We can do that they have to check in at a kiosk. We can do a completely unattended option, but that's where that kind of decision comes into play, where we can be helpful with that. So we give you a couple different identification options. One can be you walk up and you type in your name. Another one can be that we've invited you. You've gotten a pre-registration QR code and you're scanning that on a barcode, and we're using that QR code to assist in the process of signing you in. We also can identify you using your state issued ID or driver's license, using that same barcode reader that can read a QR code. And now, instead of having to type your name, we just pick you up off of your driver's license. The other option is we support a drop-in style ID scanner like you're seeing here. And with the drop-in style ID scanner, what you get is we get a copy of the front, a copy of the back, we crop the photo, and now we read all the information off of that driver's license as well. So you're getting more of a copy of it, and it makes it a little bit easier than reading the barcode. So a very nice, clean, automated method of checking in with your ID. The other thing that we can support is reading a badge. So if we have a contractor, for example, that you assign a badge to, but you still want them to sign in through a kiosk, watch a safety video, sign an NDA, and that sort of stuff, the badge can become their fast pass through the kiosk. So because of that, we can tie in a badge reader and pull that into the kiosk as well. We also support facial recognition. So with facial recognition, one of the things that we can do is have you identified either ahead of time or during registration and opt into facial recognition. And now every time thereafter, when you walk up to the kiosk, you don't need your ID, you don't have to type your name, you just present your face and you'll be identified into the kiosk. So that's kind of a nice automated biometric method of checking in. We support pre-registration. This allows you to get an invite. So users within the organization can use our portal or use Outlook and they're right within their email as they're making a meeting, invite people, they get a QR code. That QR code can actually integrate with access control as well, where we could allow them into a parking garage, allow them up an elevator, allow them through a turnstile, allow them into a lift gate. And then as they get in, that same QR code can automate their process of signing in at a kiosk. So pre-registration allows you to also give them the option to pre-check in. So pre-check-in, think of like a manufacturing facility who has requirements of they have to watch my safety video. They have to take safety quiz that's going to be 7 questions. And so what we can do is do those ahead of time so that when they arrive on site, they've done their prerequisites and can speed up the process of signing in when they arrive. So that's called pre-check-in. You would invite, they get pre-registration, they have a link where they can pre-check in, and now you've sped up the process to which you can process them when they arrive, okay? We also support automatic arrival notifications. So think of, hey, I'm walking into a building, I'm here to see John Smith. John Smith gets a text and an email that says, hey, Steve's here for you, and you're their host, so now you go up and take care of that person. Access control integration is key. We actually integrate with a lot of different access control systems. So, I kind of already alluded to this a little bit. If you've probably heard of it, we probably integrate with it all across the board. So, Cantech, Genetech, OnGuard, all the common ones you can look. We have a If you go to partners, access control partners, you'll see here all the ones that we integrate with are listed here, both the company as well as the product name. And so what we're typically doing on integration is a couple different options here. One of these is we're tying in with badge activation. And so as it relates to visitor management, we're basically activating and deactivating credentials. And so kind of like the QR code generation, where we can generate a QR code, that's one option. If you remember, we can also have a badge reader tied in with the visitor management system, so we can activate a credential that way as well. We can also print badges. So if you have kind of a longer term contractor, we can print a really nice contractor badge. And then instead of forcing that that person who's managing visitors or contractors to go into the full access control system, they use our portal to activate a credential for a group, scan a badge, activate a badge. So that's a nice option as well. And that can really automate that process of managing contractors that you issue badges to. Okay. So with the integration in full can sync users and credentials, can sync reader events, activate and deactivate credentials, and then directly open doors, turnstiles, and barrier gates right through that integration. So again, from a visitor management standpoint, usually you're going to either activate a credential, activate a QR code that kind of simulates a credential, and then we offer QR code readers that tie into the access control panel through like Wiegand, for example. And so they kind of act like a badge reader. And then we're generating a badge, which is really a QR code. So we can do some cool stuff with access control integration, okay? We also can do background checks. So picture the situation where you've got a school, for example, and they want you to check sex offender list. So that's one of the things we can do. We can also check several criminal type situations. If you have warrants, espionage, different things like that, we set up these thing called profiles that essentially allow us to tap into 2,400 national and local data sources and configure essentially a profile that lets you decide what type of rules do you want and which checks do you care about. And all of these checks happen in real time in a fractional of a second during check-in. And so then you can decide, what do I do if they don't pass this check? So it gives you a good option for, you know, again, schools, maybe like Jewish communities or different things like that, even manufacturing plants, if they've got certain regulations, different things like that, we can tie in background checks. We also are fully customizable, and you know, you saw the customization as it comes to the kiosk and the screen, but beyond that, even the workflows. So this is one of my favorite things, is just how configurable the workflow can be on whether you're going to capture signature, capture photos, have them sign NDAs. All of that's driven off of a workflow manager that lets you really architect what's that experience going to be like, depending on how they're checking in. If they're checking in on a kiosk versus a QR code, versus if they're doing the pre-check-in, what's that going to look like? And so all of those are done with a kind of flowchart wizard that lets you really architect that check-in experience, okay? And again, getting back to the unattended lobby, really typically ties into access control, but it could just be like fully unattended after hours, simply by alerting the host. So again, a lot of configurability where you can essentially, like some of these places that lost a receptionist during COVID and maybe still never replaced them, and they're just using a paper log, great opportunity for us to come in and say, hey, we can provide you better service. So unattended lobbies can be a good win, especially if you're looking for saying, hey, we can potentially, you know, reallocate that resource that's already there, who's just welcoming people, and do something more of with a kiosk where you can immediately get that ROI. Okay. We kind of talked about this, but I do like to show some of the different samples that we've done before, just to give you the breadth of what the screens can look like. And part of what we do when we customize these screens is we'll go through and have the end user fill out a questionnaire. And that questionnaire basically lets them decide, like, okay, hey, which samples do you like out of the sample choices? We'll know what hardware they're going to be tying into it. We ask them to upload any inspirational pictures or logos or branding guidelines that they might have. And then that allows us to then take that information and basically build out a sample of what we think that's going to look like. So based on, are they connecting up an ID reader? Are they going to be scanning a driver's license or a QR code? And then what pictures did they supply? So we'll give them some choices. And then once they kind of make the choice on the screen, then again, if we're going to have a decal tied in with that, we'll give them some choices on the decal and let them select the decal as well. And then we'll bring it all together. And, you guys as the integrator will deploy the hardware connected up to a network. Either it's going to be cloud or on-prem. We support both solutions, same price, whether it's cloud or on-prem. And then we'll bring that nice display to life. Okay. So looking at some of those examples of what we've done in the past, I'll take you through kind of some of the different boards that we've done. You can see just the variety of us bringing that brand to life, and then also giving options on and hints on how to scan in, whether you have to scan a driver's license or scan a QR code or whatever that might be. And what's also nice about this is we can be multilingual supportive as well. So if we've got situation where you're going to either pick a language like this one, where you can switch between multiple languages, or you're just going to give them, let's say, 2 different buttons, for example, one for English, one for the secondary language, and put some of the verbiage in both languages right on the main screen, we can support that as well. But we kind of like to show some of the different screens just so you can get an idea of what that experience is going to be like for that particular client and bring that brand to life. Okay. We also support custom labels. So when you think about, as you give a name tag out to a particular customer, we will help customize that as well. Obviously, you as the integrator or the end user can customize it, but we try to just kind of bring the brand element back to the name tag as well, and then put the information that they might be collecting on that name tag as part of that process. We can also do custom badges. If you remember, I told you we could print a really nice badge and then potentially activate that badge for a given period of time. And so that's one of the nice things that we can do too, is really print that really nice badge, help them design that really nice badge, and then end up activating that badge as part of the process for certain contractors, let's say. Okay. We also support a lot of cool little unique features as well. For example, we have low label alerts that'll count the labels as they're going and kind of send out an alert when you start getting low. We have a watch list where you can have the end user, if they have disgruntled employees, or maybe somebody came in and caused a scene, or salespeople who are a little bit aggressive. Whatever that might be, you can create an active watch list that's kind of a deny entry party, where the kiosk will prevent them from signing in, as will, when you're doing the attended station, give you a little detail on why they're being rejected and so forth. We talked about access control integration and the options to really control doors or create badges or grant contractor access and so forth. And we've done some pretty cool things with this, and we're pretty flexible based on our integration on how we can do that. We've even done situations where we didn't even really want to integrate with the access control system, but instead we used we offer these relay modules, for example, where they'll actually allow us to send out a network relay, and then we can control a door directly, or we could tie into the access control kind of on more of a input-output style. So we really have a lot of options when it comes to tying into different access control systems and how do we want to control different accesses and so forth. We also talked a little bit about the badge printing and how we can do both sticky labs or sticky name tags as well as actual printed badges. We do support a lot of different options when it comes to badges. And this is, again, why you want to rely on us to be, kind of your experts as you identify opportunities. We've got different style printers that we can have, color, black and white. And even within, when you look at like thinking about badges and name tags themselves, those even have some options when it comes into play. And, it could be, for example, maybe you want some expiring name tags that might be important. Maybe you want, and even within then, there's choices. Do you have tab expiring and so forth? And so we'll help the client really make some decisions on what's the best name tag style for them as they try to design a solution. If it's not expiring, even outside of that, there can be some of the most common options for name tags might just be an adhesive that you might wear, for example, or you might put a name tag inside of a clear badge tag holder, pair that together. You might even pair a name tag with a clear badge tag holder and hand them a generic badge that maybe has temporary access, and you recycle those generic badges. Or you may, use a name tag holder, for example, where these are kind of customized card stock that's laminated, customized with their brand, their color. On the back, it might have evacuation instructions, safety instructions. So we can get into some unique things with both name tags, badges, printing. If we have situations where we need expiring for like schools or hospitals or different things like that, we can handle all that and really help you navigate that. And I'm in the weeds only to show you that it's important for you to know that sometimes it needs to go this deep, and we're here to support you with that. It's kind of like, we know you as an integrator often are challenged with, hey, I'd like to get into that area, but I don't really have the expertise. And there's a lot of demand for visitor management right now. It's kind of like you ended up with, we sold access control. We kind of had to train our customer on what the value proposition of having, electronic locks and that sort of stuff. Then time passed and we started to sell cameras, and they started to, it used to be CCTV. Then we had, the advent of IP cameras, and now, that became mainstream. And today we're getting into the more of the layer of like, all right, well, we have all this physical security, we have cameras. Now we need to start integrating with our business operations, and visitor management is kind of the first one on that layer. And so we're beginning that next layer, and some people have started to adapt it, but some people are still using paper logs, still using old technology. And your challenge is to bring this technology and let your client know that you guys can provide it, and you can always tie it into the access control, but they may not need it tied in with the access control right away. They just might need a simple system up at the front to start them out. And that's where we come into play together to kind of guide them through what's best for them, what can be their path long-term, and make sure that you know that you've got somebody to turn to who you don't have to go at it alone. You know, it's not like you're going to be selling something that's you're just going to have to figure out on your own. And if you kind of vouch for it, well, you won't have anybody backing you up, but that's the opposite. We're here for you. It's recurring revenue. That's another value proposition, that you're bringing in a solution that's much more stickier. And so again, we're going to help you through that process and kind of navigate that initial sales cycle all the way down to the deployment as well. Okay. So that kind of covers a lot of our visitor management pieces. Again, I wanted to keep it kind of high level and not go way too much into the weeds. It is important when we talk about, our process of how do we deploy, how do we go to market. Our go to market is through integrators, like who should mostly be on the call here. And because of that, we're here to support you. We aren't publishing pricing. Our goal is really to understand the customer's needs, pair up with you to really understand how can we architect the best solution for them. And so we're really going at it just like you're typically doing, going at it as kind of a solution sale, that it's a joint sales call together. And then we really take the approach that even after the purchase, it's not like we just deliver a bunch of material to you and say, here are some videos, have a good day. We really kind of hold your hand through the process, especially as it's your first one, maybe your second one. We're going to be heavily involved in that process. We assign a project manager to the job, and then we assign an implementation person to the job as part of the project. And then we guide you and the end user from start to finish on that deployment. So again, you don't have to be experts, and we really want you to identify opportunities and then bring us in to work on them together. Okay. Couple more things I wanted to show. These are more getting into tools that you guys will have, and we'll send these out after the call. So our plan is to send out the recording so you guys have it, so in case you refer back to it. But we'll also send out a couple links to some of these things that we're sharing here today during the call. One of my favorite things is right off of our website, savanceworkplace.com. You can go to resources, and there's a link called partner resources. And on here, we've got a couple good tools that you can use. One is a new partner info PDF. And this is nice because it basically guides you guys through how to identify opportunities with us and what do we do overall. So it covers like, hey, what is our visitor management? What are our status boards? So this is something you guys could share internally to kind of educate your own team. What do these guys do? How can I make use of what these guys do into my business? And then the second page is really helping identify opportunities. So in the field, if you see paper visitor logs, that's an opportunity where you could say, hey, your check-in process, I notice it's on paper. Is that something you might be interested to look at a digital solution? So some of these things where you can see if there's a manual evacuation sheet, obviously that's going to cater to the mustering piece. Alerting is going to go for the mass notification and so forth. But this tool is good to kind of take a peek and share with your team. We also have a partner flyer that's got a QR code where you can, if you're not already a integrator signed up with us, there's a quick form that you can fill out, and that QR code will take you there. But it basically is launching you to the partners become a partner page. And on here, we basically have you, sign up and through IPSR, if you're already tied in, you'd be quickly approved. It's not a cutthroat process. We're just making sure that before we share any pricing or anything, that we vet you out. So that partner flyer is available to take a peek at. We also have an overview brochure, and we can share printed versions of these if you guys would like. You can request them, and we can send you printed versions. We also have PDFs of individual cell sheets. So if you wanted to say, hey, I want to take a peek and have a mustering cell sheet, for example, you can go download those and use those as well. We have a full catalog that allows you to kind of helps you through picking out different products. Of course, you always have us to turn to on that as well. We have a visitor management selection guide. This is a great tool if you're going to be picking out and designing a visitor management system. You know, we kind of take you step by step, you know, choose a check-in method. Are you doing a kiosk, or are you doing the mobile or attended? And so that kind of helps you pick out and build a bill of materials. If you want a kiosk, you'll need a floor stand and a 22-inch, or you might need a desktop. You might need a wall mount. And so you kind of pick out one by one which type of accessories. So it's kind of a build your own visitor management system bill of materials by just picking out from a kind of menu, step 1, step 2, step 3 type scenario. So again, these tools are available for you. Another neat thing is some of the case studies, where if you're ever going to a particular customer, you might want to go pull up, hey, let me pull up the customer that's in the healthcare industry. They've got a really nice case study. Let me read this over to understand, what am I going into? How am I going to better sell to them? And then use that as leverage when you go out to that site and say, hey, look what this hospital did that I think you guys could benefit from it as well. We also have some nice videos, and I'm going to show a video just to give you guys a snapshot of what a check-in experience can be like using a driver's license. But on these videos, there's a lot of different cool ones that are available, overview videos that you can use based on the solution. If you're selling visitor management, if you're selling mustering and so forth, which we'll get into next week, we've got some good videos that you can leverage. And when you're on these videos, you can always just snag a link right here in this little send link to, copy it, and use that to share it with a client, for example. And so a good way to grab some videos and some resources that way as well. We also have photos or different things like that that you can use in your own marketing material. And we fully support you guys. If ever you want to like update your website or have a webinar or whatever you might want to do, talk to Brandon, myself, and we're here to fully support you in those initiatives. Okay. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is just show a quick little video. And then after the video, we're going to open it up for questions if there are any. And then we might be able to give you guys a little bit of time back in the hour here. So I'm going to pick a quick video here. I think it is this one. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to hit share here. Now I assume you guys can see a video that says visitor management desktop kiosk demo. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to kind of full screen that here, and I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that you guys can hear it too. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you guys our kiosk, and this is our desktop style mount, but picture this on a podium stand and it's the exact same thing. Right here we've got a printer, we've got a camera attached, we have a Prox reader attached, and we have a ID scanner attached. And so just gonna run you through a couple scenarios. So just got my driver's license. I simply drop that into the ID scanner. It made a little beep here. It's getting a copy of the front and back. It pops it out, automatically knows who I am, skips on to the next step. Are you a contractor or visitor? I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm a visitor. And then it says, hey, take a picture. So I get in here, hit take, I hit next. Here's your information, confirm, and then that will go ahead and sign me in and actually spit out a name tag. Now, what's nice is this name tag is going to print a nice little QR code, all configurable. Then I basically come up, scan my barcode, says I'm out, boom, I'm done. So again, that's a quick snapshot of what a visitor experience can be like. Remember, it's fully configurable. So that experience was a simple workflow, take a picture, not much info, but it could be, hey, watch a safety video. Maybe it only watches the safety video once every 6 months or a year. Hey, take a safety quiz. Hey, attest to, are you a US citizen for ITAR purposes? So again, depending upon the workflow of what that organization is, that whole concept can be as configurable as the organization would need, and it's scalable for the enterprise. So if you've got one location that's a manufacturing facility, like for example, we've got several Clorox locations, and some of them are full manufacturing, some of them are distribution centers, and some of them are office complexes. Their need for visitor management is very different at each one of those locations. And so we set up different profiles and different question setups that cater to each individual site because it's kind of unique. Okay. And I think we're good. Like I said, I really encourage you guys to sign up next week for mustering. We're going to really kind of hone in on mustering itself and the use cases. The two really flow together nicely when we look at our mustering. Of course, oftentimes you're going to be targeting a different person within the organization. It's almost always the safety or the HSE person. And that in itself can drive visitor management, because once the safety people realize that, hey, I want to account for every person in the building, and you ask them, well, how are you accounting for your visitors and contractors today? It immediately drives demand for visitor management. The other thing is they're the ones that often care about the conformance aspect of, hey, how is everybody doing the safety video? Are they watching it? Am I checking off the box? Am I signing a form that says I'll agree to the safety requirements? And we can basically automate that conformance as well. Okay. So again, definitely encourage you to sign up for that, where we'll cover that aspect. Other than that, I think we'll open it up for questions and maybe have a chance to close early.
Yeah, perfect, Steve. Thank you for presenting. Guys, if you do have questions, maybe the easiest way would be to type them in the chat, and we can go and answer those one by one if we have time. If you don't have questions, no worries. I actually made a list of questions as you were presenting, Steve. You actually knocked out most of them. One question that I had, though, was the reporting software. So say you're an organization, you have multiple sites. I want to know, as an administrator, how many visitors are coming into my manufacturing facility, my office space, whatever it is. And then can I get some insights as to who the most frequent hosts are, et cetera. Just some simple reporting and analytics from the visitor check-in experience.
Absolutely. So one of the cool parts is our reporting is very robust. And one of the things that we support is a total where it's kind of accumulated, where there's some like, hey, this location, this site, and so forth. So you can kind of look at like, where's my demand as far as visitors at certain times and that sort of stuff, or down into the nitty gritty. I want to see, hey, what did somebody do between this time and this time? How many visitors? What did they answer? Who signed the agreement, and so forth. And one of the parts that I think is really neat is just how robust our reporting ends up, where normally you didn't have a whole lot of data, but now once you're starting to collect data, now you can pull in some very detailed info. And what's nice about that is you can pull in, okay, hey, I only want to look for visitor types. And because of our custom fields, like this one's reporting on, were they a US citizen? What's their manning number, whatever it might be. And what's cool is you can kind of drag and drop and choose different columns. Whatever you're asking gets mapped to a custom field. And then in turn, those custom fields can be dragged and dropped, pulled up to be grouped by, so you can get summed up information. And then once you build those reports, you can export them to PDF or Excel. And you can also create custom filters on there. So if you said, hey, I want to add a filter that's going to maybe sort on a certain thing where it's going to be this field matches or is greater than or equals. So maybe I want all contractors, for example, and I want to say yes to that. So again, very robust reporting. Good question on that. And that tool is going to basically allow people to drive that. Okay. Somebody else asked, these are great questions coming in. So cloud or on-prem costs for integrators, yearly or monthly? So we always do yearly, but we can also do a multi-year for anybody who's looking at more of a CapEx expenditure. The cost for the cloud or the on-prem is exactly the same. A typical system might be somewhere around a couple grand per year integrator costs. We do have MSRP, and we do have a recommended price with an integrator cost point. But we think affordable. By the time you get a kiosk, your hardware costs might be somewhere between, let's say, 1,800 up to 3,000 or 5,000, depending upon accessories and freestanding ID reader, facial recognition. So that price point is going to vary, but the recurring cost, I kind of hit a general level, but we could work on specifics and make sure we get you guys pricing. Because again, we kind of covet that pricing only due to the fact that we want to make sure that when you price it out based on your relationship with the customer, the value proposition, and so forth. How much time is included in the project setup SKU? So that's a great question. We estimate about 5 hours per kiosk that we charge, and that's included. Now, it's not limited. So if it takes us 20 hours, you don't get billed an extra 15 and you're stuck holding the bag. We quote it and we commit to it. At the same time, we recommend you double that time. So if we're going to take 5 hours, you're going to take 10 because you've got the project management piece of it and so forth. So our kind of rule of thumb is whatever we quote, you double, and you might have to include on-site or depending on the scope of the hardware and so forth. And again, we'll coach you through that as you have a project. We're going to give you a bid. You're going to have a price after we work together on a bill of materials. And then we're going to say, okay, now at some of our integrators get to the point where they don't really talk to us about the bill of materials or the pricing or so forth after their second or third system because they kind of know how it all works. But those first couple systems, we're going to hold your hand, quoting it, estimating your hours, and making sure that you're fully covered. Depending on the integration as well, some of the integrators require some of the access control companies require a piece that you have to buy from them. So like, for example, Cantech has an option where you have to purchase eCore Connect. It may already be there, it may not be, but you have to include it. Brevo, for example, requires an API add-on. Some don't, like PDK or those sorts don't require it. It's kind of a freebie to integrate with them. So we help guide you to make sure you don't have a surprise. Oh, wait, there's an extra $1,000 charge to integrate that I didn't know about. So we'll try to head that off as well, but keep that in mind too.
Yeah, good question or good answer, Steve. And I actually had another question that I wrote down that's actually kind of right in line with implementation, and it actually deals with support after the fact. What does support look like after the fact? So say we go through a successful install, and then 6 months later, the customer wants to change things up on us.
Yep.
What do we do then?
Question. Yep. So first, unlimited support. It's bundled. So with that amount I kind of estimated, we include unlimited support through multiple channels. A call, an email can create a ticket. You can go online and create a ticket. We have online chat and so forth. And we're going to be there to support you guys directly. Or if you say, you know what, hey, this is getting too complicated, I don't want to mess with this, the end user can call us directly as well. We aren't like, oh, hey, you got to go through the dealer. So one of the nice parts that we kind of give you the best of both worlds. We will support directly if they say, hey, I want to make a change to the question profile and I'd like support. Okay, sure. That's fully included. So You
Awesome.
guys get to decide based on your relationship with the client. Do I want to try to handle this, or do I want them just to call Savance directly, or do I want to try and get Savance's support? I do it for them, but I have the proper support. So either of those are fully included. If the scope's a pretty big change, like, hey, we're going to rebrand this whole thing and we want, this changed and this changed and this changed, we might kind of scale back and be like, oh, well, hey, we might need to charge a little bit of professional services. And that would go on both front. You would make a little chunk off of it. We would. So sometimes like a company sold, for example, or purchased, and then we might go through a little bit of rebranding, might want to charge, maybe 2 or 4 hours of consulting to do a project work. But most of the time it's going to just be included as part of the support. And again, it goes back to that high level service that we offer during the deployment. It stays with you as long as you've got service with us. It's a bundled service.
Awesome.
Okay. Good question, Brandon.
Yep. Great response too. That covered what I had. It looks like Caleb is asking, does a PoE relay module require an internet connection to work?
Nope. So the way the relay module works is that it's going to get a local IP address, and you're going to be able to configure that relay module appropriately. And then that local device will actually, like if you had a kiosk on site, that kiosk would just have to be able to ping that IP of whatever is assigned to that. And it's going to work over TCP/IP over a certain port. And then it's going to ship that message right over to that relay module to say, hey, turn on this output for 30 seconds or whatever it might be. Okay,
perfect. And then Shannon from IPSR has a question, basically just kind of, can we just highlight overview the integration with access control? And I know that you covered that. Why is the integration with access control? First of all, is it required? And then why would somebody want to integrate their access control system into their visitor management system?
Yeah, great question. I think the biggest value, first, it's not required. Like we kind of commented, it's not, sometimes you just need a simple visitor. You just got a visitor log and you're replacing that, and you don't need the headache of integrating with the access control system. And I say headache because it really depends on the system. Sometimes you got to add a license. Sometimes you got some IT work to get their server to talk to our server and so forth. So it's going to depend. The other thing is you have costs. We charge a little fee for an access control integration, and sometimes the access control system is going to charge a fee. But I think it's always important to let your customer know that it is possible. And I think that provides a little more value than just them getting a simple cloud solution that you couldn't even sell because you can't sell it through a reseller. And so the first thing to know is that it's possible. Now, why do you do it? The biggest value proposition is that we can actually activate credentials on that system that can be used for contractors, or it could be used for every visitor. So it could be we're letting them into the parking lot. It could be that after they go through the kiosk, they can now get through a turnstile. It could be that it's in a vestibule. After you register through the vestibule, we let you into the main waiting area. So it depends on the implementation. The other thing that we can do is if it's integrated with the access control system, now we could potentially track that visitor or contractor through wherever they go through the access control system. So if we temporarily gave them a badge, maybe it's a random badge 14. Normally that's how it is in the access control system. Contractor 14 goes through the kiosk, and we assign them that badge either at the front counter or at that kiosk. Now we can track where that contractor's been as they use their badge throughout the facility. So that's another useful. Instead of just knowing that contractor 14 used their badge at the back door, we now know John Smith contractor went through. So the other value is, for safety purposes, we know where that contractor last used their badge, or for audit purposes, maybe we have an issue with that contractor. So those are the biggest value propositions as it comes into play. It also can feed into mustering, right? So like as we talk about the safety aspect, if we know that contractor has that badge, we now know where they are, that they're in the building, that they're on the vicinity, and we can then quickly identify them at the muster points. Okay. Good question, Shannon.
Perfect. Okay, guys, it looks like that is the end of our questions that have been typed into the chat. We'll go ahead and end it with that, Steve. Thank you for presenting. Just a great presentation. We've recorded everything.